gonna get turned on.
Hey, that's what they almost did at the selectors meeting last night. They walked in and said that before they got on TV.
Yes.
Is it to Liberty Way, or is it just Liberty Way for the password?
If you can't, don't even worry about it.
Good evening. Welcome to the September 12th meeting of the Litchfield
Don't worry about it. I
Recreation
gotta go.
Commission.
Okay.
We have 6 members present, which is great. We can start our meeting off. No one has done an agenda, so we'll flow along like we usually do, just plugging through. We have some old business. We've got some new business. One of our old businesses, I'll start since I'm going to blab first anyway, is we talked about running a program for river access through the Conservation Commission and through the Selectmen. There's been some updates to that over the last month, since the last time we met. The River Access Committee has met multiple times since then. We've also attended the Selectmen's meetings last night, and we've asked the Selectmen to move forward with the process that we have going. I can pass this around afterwards, but effectively, if you haven't seen this, this is the plans we've got going forth right now. And effectively, yeah, you know what? I don't know, so everybody can see it. Effectively, what we have here is Charles Bancroft Highway running across, 296 Charles Bancroft Highway. We've got a river access point, a driveway we want to run in along the property line, curve it around, and then put a parking lot in the back. Some of the adjustments we've done, there's been multiple plans. This is the one that the committee voted on finally, and it was, all the members voted yes except for one, and that one happened to be the abutting neighbor. I don't think she could, in conscience, vote for it based on the fact she wanted it somewhere else in town, not in my backyard. What's been great is she's been working with us towards what we're looking for. The cost on this has a varied run. $27,000 is what we've come up with for a number of what this should cost with gates and rocks and trees and gravel driveway and materials being donated. That number also shrinks down to about $7,000 if we got an application that went into the Army Corps of Engineers to do the road for us and plant the trees, move the rocks, etc. We'd have to pay fuel for their trucks to do it, but we wouldn't have the construction costs. We've got fence costs and gate costs for this. We want a gate off the roadway, at least one car length coming off the roadway, to be closed at night. The police chief said they would do that, so they could shut it down come dusk, open it up in the morning. He said not a problem with having my officers do that. And we would shut it down at winter time. So they have a way to pull off the road, shut the gate, open the gate later on. We'd close it down in the off season as much as that would be, late November through probably early March. There's other gates inside. If you follow along the fence line, the farmer that farms that land the town owns actually goes through that area right now and farms land in front of the neighbor's house. So we were going to put 2 gates there that are lockable that he could access through, get his tractor through, get to the other side. And in the conversations last night and over the last week, the fire department would like a gate down at the parking lot, so if they've got to access the river, they don't have any public access to the river right now in the town of Litchfield. That would give them access to this ramp that's down there. All that being said, where we stand right now, we'd already voted to go forward with this, is I want to meet with Troy and put it in our budget an amount of $27,000. That being said, we're going to have to make a motion for doing that. But I'm looking for a top dollar. We're looking at the project going in May of next year. What I said to the selectmen last night is we'll take impact fees if they're available first before we come out of the town's money, as we always do. It's new work, so it's much smarter to grab impact fees before doing anything else. Selectmen, I don't think would have any problem going with impact fees. There was nobody that objected that had it all. But to get the process right, we have to put it in our budget and then let it go from there. If the budget rides through with the 27 grand in there, budget committee approves it, then no issues at all. If they don't, we'll have to reassess at that point. Questions?
Well, nothing. Mainly, how far is how far is this for someone to
How
bring
far
it?
is the walk?
Yeah, because they're gonna carry in canoes or kayaks or
It's
something, right?
less than this is 250 feet from this alt line is 250 feet from the water to there. So this walk, because you have to do a little bit of a hook, there's a, you call it a natural ramp running down along the river, going this way. Down that natural ramp's probably about 125 to 150 feet. You know, we walk.
Gradual drop.
This is a very gradual
Okay,
drop.
yep.
This is all flat land right
Okay,
here.
yep.
And then you come through an opening in it's a very nice gradual drop. I mean, this is a canoe and kayak access, not a boat access. You can get a boat down there. The fire department would be able to back their boat down there without a problem.
So there's sand and stuff that you can lay your kayak in and push off, or are we doing a dock?
We're not doing a dock.
Not doing a dock.
Any construction that we would need down there would require state permit and approval. We wanted to start with this process, and if we want to expand afterwards, we can, but there's a long application process there. Even putting a sign up in the parking lot is going to require state approval because it's within the 250 feet of the water line. If we move the sign out to the edge of the parking lot, right beyond the 250 feet, then technically there would be no approvals needed from the state. But from the conversations that they've had with the state, there's no issue with what we're looking to do because we're not putting a building up. They want two signs out, one in the parking lot, basically our typical park rules sign, and one at the edge of the road, which would be, hey, this is whatever we end up calling this, you know, Litchfield water access, Litchfield residents only, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Similar to what we have at Sawmill Brook. And hopefully we can, between now and then, find a couple of Eagle Scouts or an Eagle Scout that wants to do 2 more signs for us. We already have the plans. That would be the easiest way to save money on that end as well.
So no problem carrying something in there and
No.
unloading it. It's a place to step down. I haven't been down there. so I have
I've
no idea what it
recommended
is.
that we leave, there's wheels you can do kayaks with, like wheel setups.
Yeah.
I've recommended we leave one in the parking lot for people to use. They're only like $150. People will steal it. I'm thinking, you know, if we put Litchfield Rec Commission on something like that, it's worth a shot.
I know, yeah.
And it would be great for the town residents to be able to have something there that they don't have to haul in. We made the parking lot big enough to come in with a trailer and turn and back it into your spot so you've got enough space to park. That was the reason for such a large parking lot. We figure it's designed for 10 or 12 vehicles with trailers pulling behind them, as opposed to the pickup trucks that are going to throw the kayaks on top or inside and so forth.
So this is projected for May of next year, 2018.
May is when they're looking to start the construction with the Army.
Okay. With, what's the time frame? So if they start the construction with the Army, June?
We figure this project's gonna be 3 to 4 weeks at best. At best, if they put the crew they put on it that they did to Town Hall years ago,
Yep.
they'll be done in a couple days.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a gravel road, right? Just gravel
It's a
and,
gravel road. They've already talked to Rick Chabonneau. He said he'd donate the materials. We know we're getting the materials from. They've got to pull the loam, the topsoil off first. They don't want to bury that grand topsoil and then put the gravel road in. Very minimal grade coming off the side of the road. No highway restrictions based on state rules and so forth.
is it gonna have a sign? A street sign? We never got one for Sawmill. Are we ever gonna get a street sign for this one? Are we gonna name this a street? Or name this anything?
Well, there was a street sign for Sawmill at one point.
There was?
There was a
Gone?
clear
Originally.
away. It got
Oh, got
stolen.
taken.
It was
Okay.
taken.
Yeah.
Of course, that street name has never actually hit,
Maybe that's what it is.
map
that the
anywhere,
street-
but-
Right, that it never made it to anything.
but yeah, there was actually a sign at one. When
You
I
actually
first
have to
went out.
notify Google and the Yahoo Maps and so forth, and
Yeah.
it has to be multiple people, and then they'll add the street. They prefer the towns to notify them, but it hasn't been worth it. I wasn't planning on naming this, but again, we've got options to do
Yeah.
stuff like that down the road. I don't know what you'd name it.
Fishy
But
Way.
Merrimack Way? What's that?
Fishy Way.
White Cap Lane, White Cap Lane.
White Cap Lane, yeah.
So, 2 questions. First of all, I think this is fantastic for the town. So, you know, a lot of kudos to all the people who put in work to make this happen. So, great design. I think it's perfect. So, just 2 questions about the farming for there. So, we lease the property now. So, is there a revenue loss to the town to carve out the street? And do we know what that is as far as what it may?
It's, the
Impact.
lease is what,
$1,500 a year.
$1,500 a year, and we're taking about 10% away. So it would be a loss of about $150 if the town
If
decided
you
to.
extrapolate it across like that, yeah.
We lease it fairly cheap, I get.
I don't even, honestly, looking at this plan and looking at the site, and I've been there, I don't think that there's a lot of farming loss. I mean, you're right on the border. I mean, they don't go all the way to the trees like the road will be, along the edge.
They don't.
So I think our impact on this particular plan is very minimal.
I mean, there was a roadway in the middle that we were looking at using because there was a natural roadway already there. They farmed over that this year, but it doesn't look like it had ever been farmed over before. And I'm not sure if it was because of what we were doing or not. I don't know. It's fairly minimal impact. They tell me, I know it's corn up top, and they told me last night, I think it's squash.
Squash and
down,
pumpkins, yeah.
Squash and pumpkins down in the back. There were some concerns about people getting back there, accessing the farmland and stealing stuff. I said in the selectmen's meeting last night, the reality is we have walking trails behind all of the farms in town. If somebody wants to go back and steal from the farms, they could do it now. This isn't going to make that big a difference. It just gives a car access. I still look at a car driving back there and trying to steal farm stuff and leaving as pretty blunt.
Then they put it on a boat and go down.
But there you go. Yeah, they cross over to Merrimack. All right. I hadn't
Sell
thought
them in
about
Lowell.
that. See?
Tell them
Yeah,
all,
missed
that's
that.
right, that's right.
Hey, the other thing that they could do, I mean, to mitigate this would be to plant corn all along the road. And then you won't have, it's a bitch to walk through corn, you know
Yes,
that.
it is.
And you just can't, you can't get through there to get to the squash and the pumpkins. And if somebody wants to steal a few ears of corn, I'm sure it happens.
True enough. They can change how they plant as well. There's been some resistance from one member of the Conservation Commission, and there was Ray People spoke publicly at the Conservation Commission against this. He wants the town effectively to go back to the state to get the property the state owns across from the fire station as an access point. But as he said in the Conservation Commission, we worked on this 40 years ago. We worked on this for years and never got there. I'm not sure that's the right plan.
Well, there's
to
a huge
go
drop
back
off
to
over
it.
there too, right?
It's a huge drop. And the state has told us emphatically, because of that drop, they won't even consider a permit over in that area. And time has changed since 25 years ago when they first started looking at that. They were talking about building a tunnel back there 25 years ago, and that, cost-wise, is what prevented the town from ever getting water access anyway. So we've rolled back to a town site. The objection is we're going to be, hurting the farmer's income. I don't see an acre of land as being an income killer for the farmer that's renting the land that they don't own right now. It's a toss for me as far as where that goes. I have empathy for the farmers and I want them to stay, but I really don't. I think the entire town benefits more from this than just having it farmed out. This 1 acre that we're grabbing, 1.12 I think is the total acreage across.
Likewise,
Second question is just about liability. So it's town property on the road, obviously, but to the farmers, like if people go out in that field when they're accessing the road, who owns that responsibility?
So the
as far
point
as-
of the rocks and the trees and the fence that we've got planned in here
Yep.
is to prevent vehicles from going out there.
Okay.
Somebody walks on the farmland, the same as somebody
Same
parking
as-
on 3A and walking on the farmland. Access to the river is all we're providing. Water access is not a liability. The town doesn't have liability on the water. The state actually controls all of the waterways in town, including Dara Pond.
Yeah.
We have access to Dara Pond. We have no liability towards Dara Pond. It doesn't mean somebody can't sue us, but it's a frivolous lawsuit at that point because we're not supposed to control that. The state has rules for boating rules, and people are supposed to follow those rules, and that's it.
Yeah.
They did ask about insurance coverage. Troy pretty much said he couldn't see anything, and neither can I from the research we've done.
The only thing now that I think the next step is we have to have a advertised public meeting to allow public input, and then with the selectmen anyway,
That's the selectmen side,
and
correct.
then we can move forward with the whole program.
so there's a motion on the floor.
No motion.
I haven't made a motion yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to
I'm
just
reading ahead on your notes then.
run this across.
Wait, there's a
I
motion.
know, I figured he was gonna.
Is there an
I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that we set aside $27,000 in our budget for 2018 for construction of the Litchfield River access.
I'll second that.
I got a second. Excellent.
Can you say that again, please? The what? You make a motion for?
Make a motion to set aside $27,000 in our recreation
In
budget
your budget, okay.
for construction of Litchfield River access, and we have a second. Discussion-wise, again, I don't expect to spend $27,000, but as all of our projects, we've always put more money out there and spent less. And we're very, very good in this department in doing something like that. That's our goal in this place as well. The construction down in Page Road that's going on right now is going to have impact fees driven into this town early no?
No, we're not gonna get a lot.
Oh.
No, that's not a, yeah, eventually, yes, but it won't be, we won't realize that money too quickly. Right now, they're just going through the land use change tax, and that's what they're,
Oh, sure, I thought we'd get some in 2018, no?
yeah, it'll be later in the year, it won't be
Okay.
immediately, so our May deadline, you might have to, we're gonna have to figure out something, because I honestly don't think it's gonna happen before May, the impact fees.
Well, we'll address that as we go along in the process with Troy, and we can defer some spending, we can do that as well. If we can hold off the actual spending of the money that we're gonna put on this.
Well, I mean, in a perfect world, you're looking at spending $8,000. I don't know why you're putting out a motion for 25,000.
27 was the max they
27.
put up on the board last night.
Okay.
7,000 or 7,800 was what they expected to be, but that was missing one gate. It didn't have the fire department gate in there.
Okay.
And gates, we've seen prices anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 per gate, and there's
Okay.
4 of those.
So that 7,600 didn't include any? I
No,
mean,
it had 3 of the 4 gates.
Okay, all right.
So is there any chance, I know with the tax that you were talking, the fee or tax or,
What, the land use change tax?
that's going to the Conservation Commission, is there any way that they, I mean, are they looking at partnering with us? Is there any way that they can put some of that money?
They don't,
They get 80% of the land use change tax.
they get 80% of what?
The land use change tax, when there's a, long story short, when there's a piece of property that's not, it's in current use, meaning it's nothing happening to it. Put a development on it, well, that becomes a heavier fee, that they have to pay. It's considered impact fees, but it's actually in reality a land use change
Because
tax.
it's not impact fees.
It isn't.
Right, because Conservation Commission has no impact fees coming to them.
They get 80% of the land use change tax.
Land use,
Now the
correct.
Page Road development, for instance, I believe was, this year they paid $700,000 in land use change tax, if I'm not mistaken.
My understanding from that money,
Conservation
though,
Commission got $560,000 of that.
my understanding from the Conservation Commission is they utilize that money in land purchases.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, they have a
And
pretty
I
healthy
would be
bank
very
account.
surprised if they would change their process on that.
Well, and I mean,
Especially,
yeah.
the chair of the Conservation Commission does not seem to be in favor of this.
well, it's town land. I mean, and I'm just, this is a conversation. I'm not arguing with you at all. It's town land. I mean, we can, the selectmen manage the land in town. So we can, if we decide you guys want a boat ramp, you're gonna get it. I mean, it's just, I don't understand why conservation thinks that they can sell a piece of property if they don't like what we're gonna do to it.
Nope, they can't sell a piece of property.
No, I know that.
We made them very clear in that.
Oh, I understand that, but I mean, the individual is having a hard time understanding the fact that we can manage this piece of property just because they bought it.
Well, they did,
think
the town bought it.
Well, yeah,
The town bought it. And the specifics are, they actually have a video that came out of the Conservation Commission when they just voted on purchasing this land, and boat access was discussed at that meeting.
yeah.
It was not put in the
Well, I mean,
deed
if you
not
get
to
proof
do
of
it.
it, that's
It's all
great.
out there.
Yeah.
So,
And again, the selectmen manage the properties,
Correct.
ultimately they're under us, so. you just
as
gotta
we
be-
found out
you-
with Sawmill Brook.
You just
I mean,
have to be really nice to me, that's all.
Yeah.
Right, so, but I mean, so if town property that has recreational use comes under our purview as far as our responsibilities,
Yes,
conservation, the stuff that conservation buys is really, they're charged with maintaining said property, correct?
Yep.
Well,
So if we.
they have no maintenance
Well,
budget.
I know,
Okay.
but what I'm saying
The
is,
budget's
the
$2,100.
land that they are, that is being used, that is there right now is conservation land.
Correct.
So if we now put boat access on that land, does that land then become recreation use, and that's something that we will have to pay for maintenance and,
Yes.
Correct.
okay.
Now, the purpose
So
of what
that
we've got
matter.
going is no grass. It's rocks and gravel and
I'm just
trees.
saying, I mean, so the amount of money we spend on this, the if it's $27,000,
Correct.
really, at what point does that land become recreation use, and then that,
The,
like, can we spend $27,000 on land that's not under our control?
yes, because it's the selectmen's land.
Yeah, if we decide that we can,
But I mean, is there a process where they're gonna have to say, to spend recreation funds, we need to deem this recreation property first, and then you can spend recreation funds on it?
That will come up in our budget process
Okay.
discussions. We didn't get that detailed because the selectmen wanted to have a public meeting and look for public input before they voted to approve this. But from the members that were here last night, the 4 members that were last night were like, yeah, let's move this forward.
by the way, my 700,000 was way off. If I remember correctly, it wasn't, I want to get on the record saying that, the land use change tax for 700 was way off. I scratched that number, but it was an example.
Okay.
It's like, I just don't want to go on record and somebody's going to say, well, I'll get an email. I know I will. Well, it really wasn't 700. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It was just a number that popped into my head as an example. And as far as the thing I like about this plan is that you're going to close it during the winter. And it's not going to affect Jack trying to plow snow or the state trying to plow snow because the state manages 3A, we don't.
Yep.
So you're unburdening the town of, from keeping that clear of snow too. So that's good. That's a really good idea.
And it's the right thing to do. You really don't want people getting out in that river on the ice in the winter time.
I'm
And
floating
there are
away.
people who do it down in Lowell and so forth, and it's mind-boggling to me, the people who get out in that ice and walk across down at Lowell.
So, one thing I would say though, is that gate you said about a car length in,
We're looking to get enough space that they can get a cruiser in and turn around.
I would say you'd need enough, I would put enough in for a fire truck, because let's say it's closed or it's evening or whatever, and they need access to get on the river for a
Well,
Well, they have
rescue.
access to it year-round. I mean,
Right, but I'm saying if we have that gate shut and they wanna get in through there.
Let them
and they're-
pull in and then
they
unlock
need
the
to,
gate.
we need to let them, I mean, there should be enough room for them to pull in to unlock the gate.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah.
you don't want them sticking out on 3A.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, so you just move the gate like another 15 feet
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I mean, I'd get fire's input and police input before any of the gates and stuff are put in, so that this works for everybody.
We'll talk to the fire chief again. I know most of that's been getting done. The police chief was here last night, and he was all on board with what they have going for it. No further discussion? All in favor of the proposal? The motion, excuse me? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, all abstained, motion carries. Excellent. Hey, we got a visitor. Welcome.
Public input.
Well, do we need to do, what are we on?
Where are we here? What did you do? I don't have anything.
So we didn't do consideration, we never had minutes from the last meeting?
Nobody printed them.
Oh, here we go.
I never even saw
Rick,
it.
you wanna go?
Did you do any minutes from the last meeting?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think they're in
Well,
there.
last meeting, there was nobody
You just
here.
send them around?
I showed up in
I
August for a
just-
meeting nobody was here at.
Yeah, but the meeting
tonight.
you guys held. it
Oh, yeah.
was-
Access anything from this.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay.
Come on up.
It pulls up the wrong email address.
Process
Is
as
this
it
public
pertains
input?
to usage of Dara
Yes,
on Dara Fields
public input.
and who can use it and that kind of, the conversation we had where an outside entity wanted to use Dara Field.
A couple of them.
A couple of them did. Just want to know what the process is, and understand a little bit more of why they weren't allowed to use it.
Okay.
Okay, and also, but first I want to start off, Brian Bean from TLC. I want to be put on record of how good job he's done this year, and also, we held a tournament, and he helped prep our infields because he brought over his power rake, and he took care of it, and I was very pleased, and we've gotten a lot of compliments from we've had multiple towns come in for our tournaments, and they've been very complimentary of everything, so.
I guess I can follow along with that public comment. It's been the quietest year in 5 years for my phone ringing
Yeah.
on bad landscaping, so forth.
So I want to put that, LGSL will be sending an email to the rec commission, letting them know how pleased we are with everything he's done this year. So I just want to put that on the record.
The meeting in August left us with an ongoing discussion. We didn't finalize anything. We asked for more public input, so this is good. We've headed down a path over the last 9 months or so of saying no to outside entities. It started with a business in Hudson that was looking to use one of our parks. We said no to that business. We said no to the same night we did the tournament to a karate business out of Hudson that wanted to use the parks. We had the for-profit tournament that we said no to, and we had an AAU request, that, not AAU,
Practice
whatever that's
facilities,
called,
yeah.
as a practice facility. I guess the term's on AAU and softball, but
ASA.
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 So our mindset has been growing, and it seemed to be everyone that was in attendance that night that said it's a bad process. We've now opened ourselves up to use that we didn't expect out of the fields, and that we never would have planned 5 or 6 years ago because we didn't have the fields to give it up. We said no to everybody because we had no fields. Now that we have fields, we started saying yes a few times and questioning afterwards why. My mindset still, and again, this is my mindset, it's not been voted on by the group. My mindset is still let the local organizations have the fields and let the local organizations run the tournaments and so forth, no problem. But outside entities coming on board, making a profit off of land in the town didn't seem to make any sense to us.
Well, that's where I want to get some clarification on, because they did offer a benefit back to the town. We were not-
$500, correct?
Yeah, correct. There are there are camps run in town that Litchfield residents have to pay to go to, okay?
The camps are run by the local
By
organization.
paid, by
We've approved
paid.
it by our own commission.
Right, but they're sponsored by the local.
Yeah, but they're a profit organization.
They're for profit. The
They're a
soccer ones.
for-profit organization
So-
that they're running. So,
Right, but they're working in conjunction with the local league.
so,
Yeah.
So my,
No,
my,
no, but,
split-
no,
Here,
no,
I-
it's
not
still a
splitting
pay-
hairs. It's not splitting hairs. It's not that group coming in saying we want to run this camp. It's soccer or softball or baseball saying, hey, we got these guys coming in. They want to run a camp. This is going to be good for our kids. We want to do it. If it's a fundraiser for them, if it's a comedy night for baseball.
well, I understand if it's a benefit
It's
to
not.
the town. What I'm saying, these paid for, what I'm saying is we had an organization that LGSL actually said, sure, we're not using it this weekend. They're gonna donate that money. We could spend $500 on basketball hoops. We could do soccer balls. They could go to the baseball field. I didn't care where that money went, but it was an opportunity that,
let me roll back. I'll go back a step, and
Yeah.
I'll take your point in. We run a comedy night.
Yeah.
Somebody makes a ton of money on that comedy night.
Yeah.
That is not a Litchfield organization. That comedy company that we hire makes a ton of money.
correct.
We
But
have-
they're also,
we have
there's also
found-
money given back to the
We have
town.
found that by running that program and paying that money out as organizations, all the organizations have done it, that we make enough money that it's worthwhile to spend that money, and this group has not stopped that. My questions that came about, and there was a couple of emails that went back and forth after our meeting with the gentleman that wanted to run the tournament, was give me an expense, an income process is coming across. Give me a reason that the Recreation Commission should say $500 is reasonable. Tell me what you're bringing in. If you're bringing in $4,000 in profits, then why are we giving $500 to the
So
Litchfield softball?
let's take LAFA. LAFA lets the Fusion, which is a paid-per-pay program, use their fields for tournaments. They charge LAFA, that's Londonderry.
Okay.
Londonderry, so just put it in perspective. LAFA will take care of, they do not charge, they charge them $100 per high school student to do the fields, $4 per game for lime, okay? And that's it, to use their fields. LAFA will run their concessions, because they run their concessions, and that's all that they charge to use their facility. They do, that organization also gives them $2,000 or X amount of money towards improvements to the field per year.
The organization that runs attorneys, you mean? The
Yes, yeah,
gentleman
the
that was-
fusion, that's the
okay.
fusion. So that's for what they do to, now they're made up of, the thing is that we have is that Litchfield goes up to 12U with softball. After that, we still have a very major footprint within the southern New Hampshire of parents, coaches, you know. I'll be coaching the 12U Blast again, I'm still in town. But other parents move on, kids move out, they don't have that opportunity. It's very transient where it goes. So one year it might be this organization that has multiple Litchfield kids that work out that would like to use the field. What I'm just looking is for a process. So these organizations that are made up, that have Litchfield residents on them, can go to their organization, say, okay, it costs this much money, you need to do none of that, and rec always takes first, but we'd like to leverage those fields.
So, and again, this
Because softball, it is better that we have people on using the field than not.
softball
So
is
grass
better.
doesn't grow in the
The
field.
grass doesn't
So-
grow.
so you're
It's
on
not
the
a damage to
field.
the field, it's much better, much easier for me. You look at it, if you don't get that usage, you can see it every year, we get the usage, and then once we stop, we get grass, and then that's a major expense if we, like I said, what Brian Bean did for us, that took him a half day to do all that.
Infield, okay.
Yeah, infield.
When you're saying grass, I was thinking.
Not
off
the
the
grass,
infield.
just the infield, to do that, and to keep the grass off the infield.
Right, but the other thing you gotta look at is it's not, Dara is it's an interesting situation because it's not just the softball fields. You
True.
have Talent Hall, you have Dara Pond, you have the playground. So if you have a tournament run by somebody completely outside with nobody from Litchfield softball there, okay? They don't know.
So, yeah, that's, if
don't
we need a
know-
process, that's,
Right.
if there's a process in saying, if
Yeah,
LGSL needs to sponsor it, I'm just looking for a
I think
process.
we're missing out on a huge opportunity as a community to generate some revenue for certain programs that may need, meaning Justin Bissett,
Yep.
maybe a concession stand.
So.
We have an opportunity to leverage these organizations that are for profit, that are looking to use our facilities that aren't technically being used. I'm not saying we're gonna give them field usage when the fields are being used, but when they're not being used, downtime, you have all these fall programs for softball, that they host tournaments, and I agree, we need a process in place. It has been done, we've had the Heat organization come, they ran a tournament last year, no issues. We were there as running the snack shacks, but there's an opportunity that I think we're missing out on to
And
generate.
again, the 4 members that were here
Money.
looked at $500 and went, why? And that was my question to him after the fact in emails. What is this amount? And his answer primarily to me was, you're hurting the local businesses in town with all of these people we would bring in. You don't care about businesses. And I went, what businesses? I mean, primarily.
Well,
we're talking-
the
we're talking
$500
pencil
is what I
businesses.
came up with after knowing what Londonderry did.
Okay.
I'm like, that was the process, that's
But I
what I
don't
was
think
thinking.
$500 is, I would say, why not $500? I mean, here we are scrambling we wanna do something like this.
Well, if we need one extra dumpster, let's say that they bring in enough that we have to dump that dumpster.
But that's the process.
We make a
We
policy,
also,
they have
we
to-
also
Exactly.
told them,
Take it out.
they were gonna take care of they also were gonna take care of the porta potties and the dumpster. But it never got to that point because we don't have a process wrapped
That's why
around it.
we need to nail down we need to sit down, figure out what the costs are to the town. As far as wear and tear, as far as dumpster, as far as whatever needs to be done. And make sure that why bring a headache in that's not gonna really.
See, I don't
Well,
think.
the thing is, it's not-
We haven't had a headache in the past.
And we've had other,
Because there's always been somebody there from a local organization.
so that's the process.
Why not have
That's the
some-
policy then, that there has to be someone
Here's-
representative.
Let me step back a step. So we're looking at this for $500. Okay, that's nice, but it's an arbitrary number. We don't know if the $500 is really $500.
Exactly.
I mean, because they say, yeah, we're willing to give $500. Well, okay, but in that $500, we've never said, we'll take care of the dumpster fee, we'll take, like. you're
Honestly,
saying
that,
now-
because we never got there, because we didn't have that conversation.
That
But
conversation
that was
took
an
place
email.
over emails.
Yeah, over emails. I have that email.
But here's the next step. If you say, okay, we're gonna allow this in. We got requests from New England Hurricanes to use the fields. We got requests from New Hampshire Sportsplex to use the fields.
Yeah.
We got another request from someone named Jamie who lives in town requesting to use the fields. So now we're up to 4 different organizations using the fields in some manner. Now we have to come up with a structure for all those organizations to say, okay, if we're gonna do it, and we haven't said we're not gonna do it, right now we're saying we're not gonna do it because there's no structure in place of saying, what do we start asking for a payback in terms of these things? $500 is an arbitrary figure. I don't know if that covers what they're doing in the tournament. I don't know if they went somewhere else, if that's what those somewhere else would charge them. Because you're talking about
That's what I said.
You're talking
Londonderry,
about Londonderry.
that's what they charge
but
them.
What are they charging them? You said
That's what
$100.
they're-
It was $100 per high school student.
Correct.
What's
How many high
that?
school students?
I think they.
Is that on the team? Is that on?
There's 2 kids per day that they have.
Is that they're paying those kids?
They're paying those kids to do the fields and line them.
Okay, and then but then there's a $2,000 donation.
That's separate from that's separate for them to use for their practices throughout the year. So
Right.
so their policy is the rec program gets priority over everything, and then once that schedule's set, they build out their schedule based upon what fields. Obviously, they have a lot more fields than we do.
Not just
You know.
that, they have professional recreation departments.
Yeah, true.
We don't have that. And
I know.
I said that to the gentleman who was here. I also said, there's an inconvenience to this set of fields to the town. We have a pond access that you can't access when we run a tournament. We have the facility, Town Hall, that you can't access during a tournament like this. The parking just takes over everything. I would think, and again, if we went to a policy, Sawmill Brook would be easier to rent out if we're going to do a policy like that. But we started talking last time and said, do we want to get in that process without a professional recreation department? Me,
Get
I'm
in the
like,
process
no
and we
way.
hire a professional person.
We were denied that from the town.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we generate enough funds for this, we could actually
But
probably
you need
hire
somebody
someone.
running it to.
You can't.
I just think I would be if we're gonna. I mean, I think we're missing out on an opportunity. The fields aren't being used, and I'm not saying maybe we don't allow hosting of tournaments, but certainly practice fields
So when we went to hire
where a team
someone,
can come and just practice there.
we went to hire somebody, and we put a warrant article out there to get somebody in the run the rec department.
Right, for $5,000, and it was done.
And that was denied by the town. The budget committee denied that because they said, why would we spend money on something that you're already doing? That's really what their answer came at. So if we turn this around and we say, hey, we should rent these fields and do this as a recreation commission without a recreation department head to generate income to hire somebody to do it.
I'm kidding about generating
But,
income.
but,
I'm saying,
but that answer is going to
but-
roll back and say, well, why would we do that now?
but
You're already doing
I
it.
think we're missing, again, we have an opportunity to generate much-needed funds, I think, for programs, for organizations that want to use these fields that aren't being used. It seems like, to me, a no-brainer.
Alright, so number one, I think the taxpayers of the town come first, so that's first and foremost. At the same time, what I've seen on the email, there's a huge opportunity, because people are asking us, right? We've got great fields, to the credit of the town, and people want to use them. So I've struggled with this over watching the discussion over the last month or so, because people want to come into the town, you know, it generates business for local, you know, organizations, that kind of thing. At the same time, we need to protect our fields and protect local, you know, residents to be in line first, which I'm on that page. But I think what I've heard tonight from a number of places is having a process, and I think that's kind of the end all to what this discussion is. If we have a fee schedule in place this is what you need to pay up front, this is the fee if you knock over the porta potty or whatever it is, you know, to lay that out in black and white, then we can come to a situation where we can offer it up. Say, if you want to come, we'll welcome you. It's good, but this is, you know, what it is. So that may be the next step as far as just laying it out black and white is what we can agree to.
So I don't wanna speak for the 4 people that were at that meeting.
Yep.
But my
I wasn't
general,
there, so
my
please,
general
yep.
consensus from them is we didn't want to be in the rental of fields.
Yep.
From what I understood, that's where the 4 of us
Yeah,
stood
because,
that day.
because once you rent one field, you have to now, people are gonna come in for other fields and say, well, we wanna rent some.
If
Or
you
we
break
wanna
the
rent,
dam,
we
yeah.
wanna rent the baseball fields. We wanna rent these. Now,
When anybody using my
honestly, I don't know the upkeep costs of the infield. If all of a sudden they run a tournament and now the infields need to be redone by someone else, what are the costs? I do know if someone comes in and uses sawmill and says, we need to use
Yeah,
sawmill,
yours is a lot different.
that is an entirely different sort of maintenance, usage. Honestly, you can't turn it over as fast. If you're using a field for a big tournament, depending on the size of people who are on the field. When we run the Halloween tournament now, the league does, where it's a bunch of little kids. And a bunch of little kids don't tear up a field like we're going to throw. You have adult teams who have requested in the past to use sawmill. They will tear up the field if the field is even moderately not perfect. That field especially, because that field doesn't drain well. It doesn't recover well.
So we just say there's no usage down in the sawmill.
Okay, so let me back it up a step. We said we continue this discussion, but if there's a couple of people on this group that want to go out and do some research and say, hey, this is what other towns are doing, this is what I propose that the Recreation Commission does with specifics for each of our parks. Hey, no rental of Sawmill, no rental of Corning, but Jeff Lane can be rented, Darrell, whatever it would be.
I'm happy to take it on for softball. I can't speak to, I don't know what the fields are like for, I don't know soccer. I'm not a soccer person, so I couldn't tell you usage, wear and tear. But I'm happy to look into it for softball. I know softball, he knows softball. We can certainly,
The thing is, what I
Get
just,
feedback from
what I,
other
like I said,
organizations.
I'd like a process because they're beautiful fields. I know as my daughters grow up and whatnot, there'll be opportunities that we would like to use those. Their teams, LGSL does not offer that program here. Okay, so, we have to go outside. Honestly, I don't think as long as we offer a program, no other organization below 12U should be able to come in and leverage our fields. That's,
Say that again?
so 12U and below, I don't think other
Right, but
organizations
one of the
should use
one
our
of the
fields
requests
because
got
we
was for
off-
all of you- One of the
Right.
requests that we got.
I
was-
agree, and
I
LGSL
emailed that,
would
and I
not
did
have
email
supported
saying-
that.
So what age group, the group?
12, 14, 16, 14
No, but the group that you're talking about that was looking for this last tournament,
was 14U, I believe.
okay, I thought it was 12 and 14.
I thought it was 14. Don't know exactly.
Right, so I mean, again, I guess one of the big things in the process is, I know some people who are upset about that denial, but if we're still finding out and asking questions about that tournament, and they needed an answer, I mean, that was one of the things we came up with in the meeting is, we don't have enough information, and we don't feel comfortable with this, and they need an answer now, because we can't say, well, let's wait 2 weeks, because now their
So
tournament.
that, there was the understanding, my experience was the last time I asked for this to happen, I filled out a form for the Heat and they did it. You guys approved it and we went through with it.
Our understanding too on last year, and maybe it was just a misunderstanding, was it was being run as a tournament for softball.
It was run by the Heat.
Run by the Heat.
They were run by the Heat.
You filled out the form for them.
No,
He came.
he came and
sat here.
he sat here and
He was,
requested
high
it.
school coach,
Yeah, it's,
high school softball coach, Sobe.
Sobe did.
He came, sat here, we discussed with him.
He took
Don't-
care-
Don't, he, get extra porta potties.
He's get the
Don't use the
dumpster.
dumpster. It was take in, take out.
So that
We
was my
approved it.
understanding that was gonna happen, so I was like, yeah,
Right, but
that's
I mean,
why.
there was nobody here at the meeting.
We
to-
blocked off parking for pickleball. It was all, and we
Right.
had a process. We laid out a policy for him to follow. He agreed. We moved forward, and that was that, and was approved.
So, and again, we started this about 9 months ago. We started saying no. Last January, I think, was the first one we stepped up and said, I don't see why we're going to do this. And that's
Can you
continued.
go back and explain to me, though, Andy, what is the difference between what the soccer is doing with the two pay-for programs that offer camps down here and access and use our facility.
Do we get anything back?
Yeah, what is their?
They are run in conjunction with.
They're
soccer.
not. They're well, as far as I know,
They're separate organizations,
separate
but
organizations
we
completely.
It's sponsored by.
soccer sponsors them because we have a business we have a business relationship with one group where they come in, kids are here, they get offered a discount when they go to these camps and other camps. So they're being offered a discount as they go to these camps over kids from other places. So and I remember in the past there was always, is there some payback in a camp?
Which
along
we've
the way?
offered, right? We've had the same
Correct.
thing where.
So-
I guess I don't see.
I guess
the
what-
difference is
it's
if
because
if
it's a
they're willing
direct
to give us
benefit
$500,
towards.
Where's the?
It's a direct benefit for kids in town. The kids in town aren't leaving to play somewhere else.
So our question to the tournament director said, how many kids do you have on your program? And I think he said 2, right?
I have no idea how many
How
ECF
many
because I
kids?
know ECF
Well,
has.
they have probably about 20 or 30 kids within town
Yeah.
that play for
For
ECF.
ECF.
That would be participating in the tournament?
I don't know the exact numbers.
Neither did he.
So-
And I asked the question on
So
the meeting. I
I-
asked it in an email too, and still didn't get an answer. And that impacts our decision-making process.
Oh, I
When we
know.
run a camp
But
in
we're
town,
talking about a camp that's wear and tear. All I ever
All right,
hear.
Connie, I'll answer the question.
Okay.
The big difference is you bring a tournament in. There's teams already. There's teams from all over the state.
Right.
There's no benefit to any resident here other than the 2 or 3 kids that are on that team. You bring a camp in. You bring a skills camp in. So if you have a company, maybe even the same company, the Lightning, that comes in and says, we're going to offer pitching clinics, and we're going to do it here. So any girl that lives in this town can do that, and it's a recreation program that we're offering to the town. It's like the YMCA coming in and saying, we want to run a program here. We're going to charge people for it. Yeah, they're going to, no, let me finish. They're going to charge people for it, but it's a benefit. It's a recreational activity that we are bringing into this town for residents. This tournament is not. This is purely renting out the facility for other people to use. It doesn't benefit a single resident other than the dollars coming in.
Agreed.
Which
Now may
So
I?
that's that's the difference.
Got it. May I ask? I don't know. I wasn't here for the meeting. Why was karate denied access?
same reason, it was a for-profit company that wanted to use our facilities.
But
and
was
our
it going to be a benefit to our residents?
No, it was a
It was
a
purely-
private function.
Was it?
Was it
It
private
was
function?
kind
I
of like
wasn't
the.
here for it, so I
It
didn't
was
see-
like
I
the
didn't
Kitty
even see the,
Academy.
application.
Remember the
You
Kitty
wanna have a
Academy
party.
application? Same
Yeah.
thing when they came and we denied that one.
Right, but also
same thing.
Okay, but the Kitty Connection, the Karate Connection. It was my understanding that these all have Litchfield residents. It's a benefit to Litchfield residents. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Andy, you're saying this is a benefit to Litchfield
No,
residents.
listen, if it was the karate group coming in saying, look, we want to run some karate skills camps at Dara that we want to offer to the town residents, great. This is basically a big birthday party. This
Okay,
is
so
not,
the karate-
this is
again,
not a
I didn't- I
recreational
wasn't here for
activity.
the-
It's not a recreational benefit to any resident here in town.
Okay,
And neither was Kitty Connection. They were looking for a party.
But I agree. They were looking for a park, right?
No, a party. I mean, that's.
Well, they were
effectively-
looking. They were doing some sort of Star Wars thingamajig.
And again, it wasn't. I think it's always that statement of, if you get there and the field's open and you use the field, then no one's stopping you from using the field.
Yes, exactly.
It's just a matter of giving you preferential treatment to say, if you show up there and there are people there, then you can kick them off because you have
Agreed.
the permit
Yep.
to use the field.
Yep. No, we all
We had
are
a
in
wedding
agreement with
reception
that.
held at Dara Pond a couple weeks ago.
What's that?
Did it go down? Did it happen?
But in the
happened?
conversation, I said, no, we won't approve it.
I didn't hear what you said. What?
I said, we had a wedding reception that
Oh,
took
wedding.
place
Yeah,
at Dara
yeah,
Pond.
yeah.
But did it
I
happen?
said, we will not approve that. I said, but enjoy the park. If you want to go down and use the park, because you're a Litchfield resident, you can do that.
Yeah.
Did they
And
do
that's
that?
our policy, and as far as I know, everything went great. Okay?
Yeah, the birthday party that woman asked for her son. They had it at the
Same
pavilion.
policy.
Yeah.
Would we have kicked the karate place out if they showed up here? Well, probably not. We don't have a policy, we don't have a system for doing that.
Right.
But for us to start saying, hey, come on in, use the parks, and we're going to block it off to Litchfield residents so that the Hudson Karate or Kitty Connection can use our park, doesn't make sense.
And karate was down. Karate did have it down there.
They what?
They did have their thing there that weekend.
Okay.
Because I was there fixing that net, and they were there in the pavilion using it. So,
So you must not have heard they were denied.
Fire away.
well, no, it wasn't that. It's you can show up. And
So
use
we're
it.
losing. So we're losing what there's a couple, if it's a party event or whatnot, but we're losing that revenue opportunity for the town to take away of some of the impacts that we have. That's what I'm seeing.
So my opinion, and again,
Yeah.
my opinion is we do not have a department to run a rental process.
So if I'm a coach, if I live in town 2 years down the road, I know every Tuesday night no one's going to be on that field. So I have my daughter, she's on my team, a couple other kids from town, and then other kids from another town. Okay, I'm just going to go and show up. It's that I'm in town, I can do
People
that.
do that now.
Yeah.
So if-
But that's okay. So I just find that to be a missed opportunity to give back to the town organization where we're able to at least recoup some of that money and put it towards, like I said, to other.
I think the money you're looking at, everything winds up washing, because then we have to worry about it's tracking all this stuff down, doing the liability. Hey, you want to run a camp, you want to do this stuff, and now we have to go, are you registered with the state? It's just a lot of things, a lot of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, that we don't have somebody sitting here during the day to do. And I mean, you think about it, we've been discussing this for an hour, we discussed it at the last meeting for an hour. There's other things in town that we can do for the residents that we're supposed to do, and renting out a facility for $500 is probably at the bottom.
Okay, so
If there's a program that Litchfield Girls Softball wants to run, and you guys want to sponsor a tournament, and it's something for an in-town program, and you guys come to us as a fundraiser,
well,
I
if
don't
we
see us
so
saying
if
no.
if you're saying if we would have said we would like to run a tournament, we're going to run the concessions. This organization's bringing in all these teams, but we're running it as LGSL. That'd be okay.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay,
because I'm leaning in the direction now of questioning everything we run.
Okay.
Okay, and I've been headed that way for a while. I can be overruled, obviously, but the idea that we've opened ourselves up into this for-profit group stepping in different places right now, I'm not a fan of, and I don't think it's part of what the Recreation Commission should be doing in town, without a rec department director and without a set policy of, hey, these are our fields and this is what we're going to do to rent. And it comes back to the same question we always asked about Town Hall. Once we start renting, who do we get to say no to? Nobody. That's really the biggest policy problem we have. And this goes back 10 years ago. Rent Town Hall for a birthday party. And I think the organization that was mentioned was Hell's Angels Motorcycle Club from Manchester says, we want to rent your facility because we have a birthday party and we want to hold it there. We cannot say no at that point once we have a policy to rent that to public place people, because there's a Hell's Angel member that lives in town and he's going to put his name out there and say, I want to rent it. We would have to say yes to him as well. And as a commission, again, long before you were the only one with the group back then, we were all like, whoa, wait a minute. So we sent information out to the lawyers, got it back. They said, yeah, pretty much that's really where it stands. Once you start doing it, you're a public organization renting. You're not a private organization. You're not going to be able to make a distinction between one thing and the other. I think our fields fall in that same ballpark once we head out this path of saying we're renting the facilities.
Or okay, if we get down to legalese, is renting different than donations?
yes.
Okay, so
Oh, no, I'm sorry, no.
no, it's the same thing.
It's still the same
Well,
thing.
because
It's still
I don't think so.
if
I know for-
I'm just wondering because it was just they make donations. It's donations. We're not charging a fee. They're making donations to
Is it a fee, is it a tax?
no
There's-
whatever.
there's goods
like
exchange.
lawyers make everything up the
There's-
best way it
there's
works,
goods
but
exchange for the use of the fields.
Yeah.
That's payment. It's a form of payment. It's rent.
Go ahead, jump in.
He's been waiting a while.
I know.
Come on.
Very
Gotta
patient.
look this way once in a while.
So I think, the two things I've heard a lot tonight are, fee schedule and policy. So I think great discussion. I think it'd be nice to have like a little subcommittee or something to take a couple months to say, what would this look like if we built it out? So come up with a policy, come up with a fee schedule, say, here's what we could offer up. And, come back in a couple months and say, let's digest this.
So Colleen's saying
I'm on for it,
so
so-
Colleen's saying she's willing to do that. You want
I
to
would.
jump on with Colleen? to
I'm
do
on
that?
with that, yes.
Thank you.
And just do it for Dara Pond for now.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's,
You know,
the only
don't
thing that's the only thing I would be able to.
But don't make the process enormous for the entire town.
Exactly,
Let's
yeah.
just start a Dara Pond one and see what you can come back to us with. I'm fine with looking at it.
Okay,
Thank you.
so.
I
think that's
again,
good.
I don't speak for everybody. I'm very reluctant to head down this path. Very reluctant.
So here are the two things I'd offer on that, as far as, what does this offer the town, which is that's where we should start, right? What does this benefit residents? I think, outside of, actual residents participating in a program, there's marketing for the town, because we've got a great town, people come in, it shows off what we have, they see these beautiful fields, that's a good thing for the town, so it's like marketing for our value as far as our housing and for what the town offers. The second thing is it brings in business to the town. They stop by on 3A for local businesses, what we have. That's a good thing as well. So those are two practical things we can offer up with people coming into the town. And we are in a unique position to, draw people in. So that could be a good thing. So at the same time, you got to balance that with what's the expense. And I think that's the
What's
question.
the expense? What's the inconvenience to the town residents as well?
And
Absolutely.
neighbors.
Yep.
I mean, and I would say, the neighbors need to be involved in that, just.
Yep.
But, I mean,
Again, put something together.
So that's the
bring it
question.
back.
Yeah. So
Put something together. Bring it back.
okay. So we'll say
That sounds fine.
so.
Yeah, because I'm not looking for an answer in the next couple months. It's just I'm trying to be proactive. I'm president of LGS Raoul right now. I want to make sure when we transition away from me being president.
Age-wise, you got like 4 or 5 more
No,
years.
no, he's done this
I'm
year.
done.
He's out.
Jackie's
He's
it.
out in January. He's
Jackie's
out.
it.
You found somebody to take your place?
I'm working. I made the announcement to try to get someone to take my place, but
Yeah, that's always a tough one.
so, but no, seriously, it's just I've been running it from LGSL perspective for the last 4 years, and I've been able to do a lot of improvements to the fields and through a lot, and that's a lot of tournaments and whatnot where we're able to put back, and I want to continue that because that's what I really, I believe that will help generate more interest, especially with Page Hill coming in, maybe more kids, we can get more softball girls in, and that's one thing, and building up the park. So that's my philosophy.
There's a major influx of children expected
Yeah.
from down there,
No,
which is going to have a major expense on the town, but it could have a major positive impact for the youth organizations in town, which have been depleting.
Yeah.
But all that being said, and this is just part of your process, I'll roll back. I'll take to the easy one for basketball because I ran that until he took it for God knows for how many years. We finally started blocking outside organizations from accessing our courts, and we ended up having better programs from that end. Those AAU programs were grabbing our best and taking them away from town because we were giving them access. Oh, the coach lives in town and the coach's son or daughter lives in town, so we're going to let them utilize the school gyms. And when we started looking at that, we went, well, we're losing 2, 3, 4, 6 players a year. And I'm reluctant to say that, right?
No,
How's that
I'm
gonna
on the
go with
same
softball?
page, and I'm on the same page. I don't think any organization. I'm not looking for competitive organizations, meaning 12U.
So make that part of the write
Yeah, that's definitely.
Because one of the
if we offer the program, okay, there's no reason why, and I'm thinking of people in town. I'm not thinking of there's going to be at least there's going to be individuals, no matter if they play baseball, basketball, soccer, or softball. There's going to be parents, kids, a group of kids that are going to play together for a long period of time after what the town can provide. We have a facility. That's why, from a softball perspective, that's why I was thinking of that. But
So there was a gentleman here that night that was from, I think, Page Road. He said that was
Yeah, he
looking
lives
to-
in town.
Yep.
lives in town that wanted to run a program. And when we denied it, he said, well, this is good because if we do this all the time, I can grab my bat and glove, bring my daughter over to Darrah Pond, and know that I'm not going to get over there and see an AAU program over there that you approve, or whatever it's called, ASA program that you've approved to practice over there. And I thought that was an interesting look at it, that he's like, you know what, if this is the town's policy, I'm okay with that. Because we're still gonna go and play somewhere else, but I've still got access now to this field where it's not a.
Yeah, and we're gonna have hitting cages for those individuals that we've raised funds over the years for them to use. So it is a give and take, okay? There's a benefit that we're getting from it. There's very little impact. And from running it, I know there is very little impact. Not the tournaments, so to speak, but practices and whatnot. For the town, it's good for the fields. But that's going back to the 12, I don't think there should be a competitive age group that we should be fighting against. If they decide to leave the town and we still offer, fine, that's great. That's a family decision. They have to make it. I'm all for that. But I'm not gonna make it easier to use our fields for that. That's just my.
So the cutoff then at that point
Would be
in your committee, because we're only talking softball right
Yep.
now, is to determine, is it always gonna stay at 12 and
No,
under?
it will be, I think it should be written to whatever age group we can support up to. Meaning whatever programs we run.
So
we're running.
In town.
So
if
if
there's
we
a
decide to
program-
go to a 14U, we have enough girls and we expand to 14U, you know something? 14U people, it's up to 16U now.
And what happens if it goes the other way?
The other way,
What happens if you don't have a 12U program or you don't have a 10U program that year?
if that doesn't happen, we're not gonna have a program. So it won't matter.
Right.
So it won't matter at that point, then you'll manage the fields and you'll be able to tell whoever can go and can't go on. And LGSL won't exist. Because if we don't, if we lost the 10U, we would be,
Right.
that would be pretty hard.
I mean, the positive is so far we haven't lost, all we've done is increase rec programs in the last 10 years. We've got more programs than I think anybody ever imagined, between wrestling and lacrosse, and it's just grown for what we've got in town. Sometimes that hurts our own programs in town, the competing programs in town. I'm always afraid of that outside group stepping in and
No, and we've seen it, and that's why I would definitely, and I've said that in past meetings where we had a conversation about that, and whatever we can support from an LGSL perspective, that's where the line is. And that's, it's because I'm about the town, it's about the town, but we also, you have all these people who put all those years in, who helped build DAR to what it looks like now, and now that they're out of that program, even though they go to a different program, there needs to be a process in place to benefit back the town so they can use it if that's the way it is. That's the way I look at it.
write it up, and obviously we'll read it. Because we laid nothing in stone last
No,
meeting.
I know,
We're going to keep plugging along with this thing. I still look and wonder on the tourneys. I'm an income and expense guy.
Yeah.
Tell me why somebody else should make $4,000 or $5,000 using our fields when we make $500. That's really where.
Yeah, that's
One
a
of
fair question.
that's where my question is going to fall on that all the time. And then the question would be, okay, what's reasonable? Is it a 50-50 split? If they make $4,000 and they give the town $2,000, is that fair? Might be, if that's where we want to go to renting the fields.
I mean, it's always a thing of what are other towns charging?
We
What
gotta
are
look
truly
into
other
that. We
towns
have
charging?
to, we have to,
Well, I mean, and you know something, if someone's giving, again, it's one of those things where you could say they're giving this for these usage, but not for this usage, it becomes cloudy there. You know what I mean? If you have kind of a partnership where you're donating money in a grander sense and then rolling a tournament, then that's different than rolling in just a tournament.
And I wouldn't even have a problem. The thing is, if the policy was LGSL needs or baseball needs to sanction this, meaning they will be the on-site overseer of the tournament. They're not running the tournament because there's a lot to do in the tournament. But if they were like the concessions, we're going to be at the concessions. We're running concession. We'll be able to answer any questions if that's the concession. If that needs to happen, then that's a possibility. Then the LGSL would say, or baseball would say, okay, high school kids, you're going to work here all weekend. We're going to have one adult supervision on shift at all times, and then if that's what we need to do, that'd be a way to do it. You know, that way, because then at that point, LGSL would benefit probably even more, because at that point, we'd probably do the concessions and get all the money from the concessions. They'd give us the stipend for the usage, and then, but then, at that point, we want that money to go into, we actually would like it to go in the rec, so we're able to benefit everyone, because it's an opportunity, and I just know how much of an opportunity it is for the town.
Money going back to the revolving fund is fine. That's
Yeah.
a wonderful thing. The Winterfest benefited from money being put in there. No problem with that. In the whole process, when you start doing this, I assume the three of you are going to work together with it. Is also consider that you're comparing Little Litchfield's no rec department
I know.
with Londonderry, Hudson. Hudson's full and part-time worker in Hudson. Their salary is almost twice our entire budget. Okay, so in that
That's why
process
we're
of
gonna
looking,
start at DARA.
right, in the process of looking at that, recognize that that's the process out there. Their payroll that they have in that, just in Hudson, it amazes me. Londonderry's the same boat. Looking at towns similar to us is going to be very hard to find programs as successful as Litchfield
I think
that
it's
don't
a
have a
lot
rec
to-
department.
Yeah, well, and it has to do with the facility we have. We're very fortunate.
Facilities and the people.
Yeah.
And the people.
Yeah.
Well, people like Colleen, Keith, Andy,
Yeah, they-
Mike, we don't have a program in town. I mean, we've all run programs in town. Fire away.
So, what is the history on the rec, like a position? Like, it went to ballot, it got voted
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, it got turned down.
For part-time, full-time.
Part-time.
Part-time, $5,000.
$5,000, $5,000 or $6,000.
It got destroyed. It wasn't.
Oh, really?
close.
Yeah. We were looking for.
Because it wasn't
I think 10
recommended
hours
by
a
the
month.
budget committee.
It was not. Was it close or was
No.
it? No, it was not. Okay.
You see, the thing is if you put somebody in that position, there's opportunities to bring in corporate sponsorship, and that would subsidize a lot of that pay if we managed the funds through the rec and the payroll was done through the rec. I've always believed that there's a lot of money out there, and you can get it. And I think that would help fund that one individual, could be me, that would oversee.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, if you get that, somebody in that position, it wouldn't be organizing, it wouldn't be negotiating with the Hurricanes and other groups about running tournaments. We would actually have somebody in town, and you just run the tournaments.
Yeah.
And you make the profit off it.
Not for $5,000.
No, but I mean, you know,
I mean, you basically.
But obviously it went to warrant. Is it forever?
Nope, just that 1 year. We can go back to Warren
Oh, we
again.
can't go back to warrant. I thought it was
well, I thought
one
no
and
means
done.
no. Oh, it's just
Oh,
for a
you just
year?
can't do it during that budget.
Oh, okay.
That next
All
budget.
right, all right.
And we can't,
Even if somebody came in and said we want to volunteer for that position and we can give them that position, we couldn't.
You can
Make
have
that-
that position, right.
Right.
right, that
No
year
means
we couldn't
no.
do that position.
Right.
Now,
So maybe we.
there are some questions whether or not we could actually put it in our budget ever once the town says no. Once you've gone to the
That's
the
what I thought.
process
I
of
thought.
putting it out there as a warrant article, I don't think we could roll back and say, well, this year, we're not gonna put it in a warrant article, because I don't think the selectmen and the budget committee would approve it in our budget anyway.
Well, with the tax cap this year too, we're,
They would,
as
they
a
would,
town, we're gonna be we're all gonna be cutting numbers.
Okay.
The tax cap is killing us. The fire hydrants ate up most of the tax cap, the new fire hydrants. So we're not gonna have a lot of money.
So maybe next year.
Yeah.
But it's never. It's not over.
it's
never,
not over.
okay.
No,
alright.
you
So
can
it's-
keep going back
that
to
was
it.
what,
That's fine.
five years
Again,
ago?
now, in the
4 or
arguments
5 years ago.
or the discussions with the budget committee, they kept asking, well, show us the numbers. Show us where you're gonna make money back. Show us how, and show us the guarantee that you're gonna make money
Well,
back.
and that's
to
where,
pay for
you
the
know,
position.
that's where Rick's plan, or whatever you guys come up with, will help kind of forge that path to finding somebody, or establishing the fact that somebody would be profitable for the town to have somebody manage that aspect of the rec commission too.
At one point, we were offered the possibility of having a building constructed off of Page Road
Yeah.
for the recreation
happen?
department. The cost of the building got tabled, because he ran the numbers and realized, wow, this is a ton of money. And it's not likely to happen, but in that mindset, you could take actual numbers of the facilities all over the state right now and say, we could hire somebody to work here and make this profitable if we have a facility like that. And that I could go to the budget committee and say, here's the 10 facilities that operate with these expenses. and they have to pay for their land and everything else. If we get a building donated like this, we can actually make this income without the large expenses already.
These pay-to-play programs aren't going away, and I read an article the other day. It's $15 billion industry.
No, they're
15 billion.
in across
youth
everything.
sports.
They're gonna get
Yes.
bigger.
The sad
And
part
if
of,
we
Gonna get
tap
bigger.
into it, I'm not wanting to give our stuff away. I want to capitalize on their profit so we can do.
Eventually, it's one of those things
paying
again
for it.
where
Our kids
any
are-
field you use eventually will feel the wear and tear, and is that wear and tear worth that one donation? Because
Well, I'm not
you're
looking
gonna
for
have
a
to keep.
$500, right.
I know,
I
but
get
this
the
is what I'm
$500.
saying. It's a. You mean there are towns that charge? You mean their turf facilities make a killing on this right now
Sure.
across every aspect because.
When you spend $1 million
look at, look at,
field.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
look
they
at
are.
PMA, was it
Well,
PMA?
when they go back and rent them all, yeah, you're talking.
You think they'll make the $1 million back?
Oh, yeah.
West, go up there.
Yeah.
Trust me, if I had the capital, I would be able to build something and
Oh, yeah.
It's 200. It's
You build it, they will come.
$300 an hour
Well, here's
for a
the,
field.
here's the funny part, like PMA is making so much money on their field. Conversely, I watch, I'm a big fan of the Future Collegiate Baseball League, and Seacoast Mavericks play in Portsmouth, and they pay $100 to use the field for every game.
Yeah.
And these are college baseball players. So it's adults out there playing baseball. The bleachers get filled with, they charge to people to come in, and they pay the city of Portsmouth $100 per game. Granted, they play 48 games a year there, but I mean, that's a low number but Portsmouth, obviously.
It's
doesn't agree
also,
with them.
but there's also they get to run the concession stands, and what are you making concession wise?
Yeah.
And that's really where the profit is.
I mean, maybe Portsmouth
what you're
looks at it
renting
like
the
it's a
field for.
draw too. I mean, it brings in.
Well, yeah, it brings
people
in
from
more, brings
everywhere,
in, but is it? I mean, we have to consider where we are. We're bringing in business for Mel's that weekend. Are we bringing in business for
No, especially with the
a couple
tournament.
places? How much are we really bringing into those places? Like,
Oh, I
I
don't
mean, tournament in and out.
We'll be
People
able to
come
tell.
in.
I don't know if we'd be
If
able
we're
to.
offering concessions at the field,
yeah, we
realistically,
have money at this the
hamburger,
fields.
hot dog, whatever. People aren't leaving there, and then when they leave, they're going
Those-
somewhere on the way home.
The four businesses that we do have in town aren't hurting.
No,
All right, so we will get together. Oh, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so let's set a date, right?
Yep.
Like accountability. So December, would that be a good time to come back and?
What? Anytime you want, come back each meeting and talk if you got. No, I mean if you
hope so. I mean,
if you
I
come
guess
up with
set the bar
ideas,
low
come
for
back
us.
and just speak
So-
up. Just throw it out there.
Both
like everybody
fee
else does.
schedule, policy, December. Is that okay?
That works.
That works great. That works good.
So we'll come back in December and we'll have a policy and fee schedule to look over and
Just for
pick
Darren.
apart.
Just
for
focusing
fine.
on one field.
Okay. Yep. Good start.
3 fields.
3 fields, 1 facility. Yes, not talent.
I do need to talk to you about fencing
What's next?
What's he trying to do?
afterwards.
Sandy's at home going. John,
Blue ribbon.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
what you want their
Sandy's
contract?
home going. You
Yeah.
gotta go to work at 10:30. Hurry up.
Already do
Just go
yours?
from here. Just
They're
go
in,
right
they're, they're,
Yeah,
I
change.
don't know. I mean,
Oh.
What do we get next?
They might
All
be
right.
done.
We just probably an update on the Bassett fields. All the posts are in, fences are being stretched.
Yeah.
Have been stretched.
Backstops. I mean, dugouts. I haven't been over there since Friday or this weekend. Dugouts were halfway done. So now we're looking at pouring the slabs. I got a contractor that's going to come in and dig a cistern for a well. And we had. It's funny. I kind of hit the panic button and I reached out to Skillings, Troy Brown, a town administrator, and I spent an hour figuring out a plan to get water to the field. And an artesian well is really the only way to go. And I was looking at a $10,000 expenditure. And then I got a phone call from somebody that's helped us out quite a bit with the field. And they said, no, we'll just do this. We're going to come in and see what we can find. So I'm giving them a shot first. It's hopefully not going to cost us anything. I doubt it. And if they can put in a dug well, then great. I mean, the whole composition of the soil underneath it's loaded with water. It used to be a pond. It was filled in back in the 50s, but it's all clay. So you can't, when we had Driven Point well put in, they couldn't extract enough water fast enough through that 2-inch pipe. So now we think that if we build I call it a cistern, but there's, dig a hole in the ground, tile it in, the water will find its way in there. And again, there's tons of water. I mean, if you've ever been out to Jeff Lane,
Yeah.
just recently when we had the roads repaved, they were compacting them and water was percolating up through the base of the road. So we had to bring in 5,600 tons of base to build it up above the water line. So that's hopefully that'll work. We'll get that fixed. But the fence company should be done in another week or so. Get the infield in, get the well set up, and then we just have to do the irrigation and hydro seed. Sounds easy, but I'm going to be pulling my hair out until the end. So
I do have one other thing as it pertains. LGSL is going to be looking to replace the backstops and dugouts in Field 3. So I'll be getting a quote, and I will let you know if we're going to be able to fund it ourselves and do that.
So the sooner the better. I'm supposed to meet with Troy tomorrow or Thursday
Okay.
for our 2018
It won't
budget.
impact our.
No, I'm not looking for money.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking to see if we made enough funds to fund that this year.
he's looking for blue ribbons contact info.
Yeah, I'd like to see if they, because I'd like it, just to it's gonna look exactly like the other two fields. So we're gonna have the same, and I'm sure Mr. Wall will be happy there'll be less softballs going into his yard.
What happened, Mr. Wall? We had a
When are the
discussion.
batting
I thought he was
cages gonna be
gonna
done?
join us.
We're gonna tie that into
Yeah,
getting that field done to do the posts.
yeah.
That's the problem we have right now. We have everything, we have all the funds, we got the netting, we have everything.
Right.
We just
Can't
gotta get
hire
the
somebody.
digger.
Yeah, I just
I didn't
remember
think
it's
he was gonna
been,
be hired. I thought
Yeah,
he was
it's there, it's been,
Yeah.
you know,
Or was he taking?
you know how it is.
oh, yes.
But if I can get that done,
Right.
Yeah.
because I wanna get,
The
because
stuff that Ben used to do, right now we just have.
I just want them to all look alike.
Stuff.
What happened? We can't.
But just to let you know, I don't think we're not gonna have enough funding to do the roofs for that. So everything's gonna be manipulated the same way the other ones were built out, so it'll be in the same structure. We'll have a fencing come out on both sides, okay, on the outside, okay? Like we have on the 10U field, the fencing that goes on the left field and the right field. So
How
it's
far?
the same distance as it's there.
Alright, I would just make sure it doesn't cut into what would be a soccer field, right?
No, it wouldn't be in
No,
the
it'd
soccer
be,
field.
it'd be behind.
Yeah, it's gonna be behind the field, so it's not gonna impact anything. I just wanna get,
And just make sure you take into account, I know with the, when you guys were doing the, starting the batting cages,
yeah,
irrigation.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
guys do them,
Well-
that's gonna, cause if you move are you gonna move the backstops? Okay,
no, we're gonna keep everything the same.
alright, that's fine.
So-
I thought you guys were gonna move the backstops out, then you'd have to,
No, we're not gonna move it out. It's gonna be tight. What we're gonna request, can we request the town to cut the stuff on the other side?
They already did a couple of years ago. They
It's
had the,
grown, it's like,
prisoners come in.
okay, no, on the, what road is that?
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, I know you're talking about that road.
That road,
Side street.
Baseline?
the first baseline on the field 3, there's those,
The bushes on the roadside?
yeah, they're coming over.
Just have to contact Jack.
Okay, and those can get all trimmed out. Okay, that's what I
He's got
thought.
the equipment for it.
Okay.
It won't, well, he does it when we ask. It's just, you just
Okay.
have to let him know. And he'll
Yeah,
put it
there's
in
no,
the
it's just so I'll find out and I'll hopefully come back in 2 weeks saying, this is the cost, this is what we can afford to do, and hoping we can get the fencing done. We probably won't have enough to do the roofing or the cement. So,
next item.
next item would be a motion to adjourn.
Hang on one second.
Before you do that, I've got,
Yeah,
Oh, I was about to say it.
One, too. Go ahead.
You just asked me
Sounds like
for
making a
next
motion. No.
all right, here, I'll jump in here. We got a letter
Also, I was on the communications.
on.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
yes.
Got a letter from a community design subcommittee. They have a meeting, next Tuesday. I responded back originally that I would attend the first meeting. Anybody else that wants to go and find out what this subcommittee's doing, that's fine. It sounds an awful lot. There's planning board, board of selectmen, conservation, zoning, et cetera, and they're trying to set up a policy in town for future, input, surveys, conversations, et cetera. I've served on a one-day group for this before. I don't know how long this subcommittee is gonna go. I'll go to the first meeting and come back. If anybody wants to attend,
So it's a subcommittee for all committees?
it's a subcommittee of town organizations to basically look at our process going forward in town. what
Like
we're
a
looking-
25-year plan for the
Oh,
town.
okay.
Yeah.
And when is it?
Next Tuesday. I had it in my calendar, so I don't remember. Let's see here. Third Tuesday of the month, 7 o'clock.
It's Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
First one is September 21st,
And is it here at town hall?
here
Yeah,
in town.
25
Yep.
years, so.
Right here, Suite 1.
Sweet one. Okay.
Which suite is that one?
I'm not too sure, because I'm not the sweet one. What did you have, Colin?
I was just, we had an email a few weeks ago. I don't know if anyone got back to her. Again, it was just, I'm looking to find out how to get waste barrels and better signage at Innisfield. Does maintenance at this field belong to the rec department, or does it belong to
That's
soccer?
it, yeah, we're not gonna put, we used to have, a long time ago, waste barrels down there, and they left because we don't have anybody to empty them.
Soccer was maintaining the waste barrels that were there at one point, and after a couple trips in my car where my car was ruined and someone else's car was ruined and someone else's car was ruined, carry in, carry out. Because
Okay, do
no,
we have
there's no,
signage that says
We get
carry
this
in,
from
carry out?
we have no sign, there's no signage about that, no. Well, actually, I don't know, is it on the sign?
I think it is.
I think it might be actually on the sign.
Is there a sign? Okay.
The bigger question, I think, is there's a need to put a sign up at the entrance saying where the field is. I think that's, people don't know where the field is. And I can get soccer to do that. I don't think we need to do that. The real question becomes is, there's the chain we can hang it on. Are we allowed to put anything on the wood fence or no?
That's our fence.
Just like
It's
a
our
small,
fence.
just like a small sign that just says.
Our fence.
Okay. So, I will take it back to the soccer board about a sign or two,
Okay.
and bring it back
So
here.
no one got back to her? Because I can respond. I just feel bad. It's been a few weeks.
I didn't respond to
Okay.
that.
All right, then I'll respond and just say.
If I
So it's
respond,
a
if I
carry in,
respond, I
carry out
usually
policy?
Copy everybody in here.
Yes, I think you do. It's
Yes,
just
as
sometimes-
as many times as soccer sends out those things about carry in, carry out, and how to park on Brickyard
Yeah,
Drive
oh, I know.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
Yep, yep.
people still have issues. You know what I mean, let's put it this way: we Sawmill has the barrels, has the recycle bins, and there's still plenty of stuff left all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like having a barrel at the complex actually changes people's habits.
I know. All right, I think that was the only one, and then we had,
Field request from Cub Scouts.
oh yes, for next year. So they were way ahead.
I will get thrown out of the house if I don't bring that one up.
Oh, is that your wife?
That's my wife.
Oh, I should know, Schaefer. Okay.
Denied.
No, can I sleep on your couch tonight?
I'm like, boy, they are really getting. This is
Well,
for June 2018. I'm
I
like,
was giving her a hard time. I said she had to get it in early. I didn't mean this early.
oh, the
but
poor girl. Well, she did good. She's,
Well, I mean, to be honest though, reserving something that far in advance,
we'll forget about it before then.
Put it on the calendar. See, that's what we need to make as a calendar. But we can discuss this in our subcommittee.
What,
There you go.
I read this briefly. What are they which field are they looking for?
Pavilion,
The pavilion.
on June
Roy.
13th.
Field,
Scouts.
field
So
one.
pavilion doesn't impact any other organizations.
Unless there's a
The
softball
softball
game.
is a tournament.
What's June
June
13th?
13th. I don't know.
oh, and what day of the week is
Weekend?
it?
It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday night.
It's a
from-
Wednesday?
It's probably rec.
Yep, you can have it. It's only rec that's gonna be using the field. It'll be a problem.
It would be like playoffs,
They don't
5 to
do like
7.
the-
LGSL says it's
Yeah.
free.
The walk or whatever, LMS. is.
June
It's a
13th.
Wednesday,
yeah.
that's no problem.
It's a Wednesday.
You don't have any
Nice.
rec games? How
On
do you
Wednesday?
know when you're rec?
We don't have games on Wednesdays on the 13th.
Honey,
On any
Oh,
13th.
playoffs,
Wednesday
playoffs
the
like the
13th
week
is
before?
that.
the week before, it's.
See, you don't even know who's going to build the schedule up for next year. You don't know if that person decides to put Wednesday games.
They're not gonna have a Wednesday game. Okay.
They're
No,
gonna cheat
aren't
and use your
softball
schedule.
playoffs usually that first week of June, like the first full
It
week?
depends
after
on when we can get
Memorial
on the field.
And no rain.
When
Rain.
the school ends.
Scouts had their foot in the door first. No matter what happens, Scouts have it.
Actually, no, what happens, scouts.
Because all you'll need is a pavilion, right?
Yeah.
we can still have games if they have a.
Oh, it's the pavilion? I thought she
Yeah,
said
no,
field.
pavilion.
It's pavilion.
Oh, I'm sorry. She has checked
And
off
don't
field.
worry, we will charge them
They'll go
double at
check
the
out the
snack
field.
shack.
Oh,
People have a hard time. The poor
That's what I'm
lady.
saying, why can't we vote on this if it's a
We can't?
pavilion?
Yep.
Or make a motion, somebody. You got it in front of
I
you.
make a motion to allow access for, what is this?
Litchfield Cub
Oh,
Scouts.
Litchfield Cub Scout Pack 11 for their end of year celebration on June 13th, 2018, Wednesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. for use of the pavilion.
I'll second that.
Kurt, she does say Anfield 1, so you sure she's not playing a
That could be.
game or something?
Field one.
I don't know. I don't know.
With usage of Field 1 contingent on no rec play.
Sure.
On LGSO's recommendation. I'll figure it out. We'll
You can
we'll
shuffle
schedule
it
it.
over somewhere
Yeah,
else,
we can. Actually, they probably want field 3 down by the pavilion. Probably.
Yeah,
do
whichever.
better.
I
Yeah.
don't know which one was which. So.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right, motion was by,
Colleen, I seconded it. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
One question, I'm sorry. I don't mean, so we have fall ball, I know, and I have games scheduled and practices scheduled that I'm still scheduling through LGSL. If a request for the field during fall, you're still gonna ask me if we're not using it or not? Okay, because fall ball is something that we do now.
It's just rec.
It's just rec.
Did you notice that I took my kickball league and I put it at the GMS softball field because I didn't want to conflict with
How is
anything
that?
going on
How
there?
is that?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
The field's looking
Look like a
good
lot of
too,
fun.
huh?
They actually got players. That's awesome.
All right.
All I
Okay,
can see is
I'm sorry.
hamstrings.
Thank you, I just wanna make sure, clarification
we
there.
got a major thing we gotta get done tonight, so.
Oh, we have something else?
Recreation field and mowing and maintenance contract.
RFP.
RFP.
So it's been sitting out there for 2 weeks.
I said it was good, and I added my 2 things that I thought
I
needed to be
can't
added.
open it. I hate your new Google thing.
I love it. It's the best thing.
All I gotta say, the only thing I have to say is he's gotta keep the clippings at bay. Keep him off the infields, cause he fills my infields with clippings. And stay away from our advertising signs, cause he always backs into those things with his
So
mower.
the company that we award the bid to.
Yes. Whoever does it.
Whoever does it.
And hopefully it's a guy, because I said he.
Can we also, why don't we just add the line in under Corning Road baseball fields? It says same above, also including areas between the fields. Please,
No, not please.
not even please, but,
Stay away from advertising.
infield grass clippings must be bagged or something.
Yeah.
Include, something like that, because that's the main
Or
issue.
base paths should be left clear of clippings, because that's really what it comes down
Yeah,
to.
if
Well,
you-
no, because isn't he clearing them now, but he keeps running the thing over to blow them out?
Yeah, he backs around.
So that's,
yeah.
that's his problem. So I'm saying, if you tell them they have to be bagged in the
How
infield.
about both? Infield grass.
Could be a she next year.
Must.
We're assuming. It could be a she. We don't know if what next year brings.
Now, Sawmill was aerated a couple weeks ago. I know we talked about what fields were aerated and what fields weren't.
Corning got aerated, according to the invoice I signed earlier yesterday, so.
Okay. Not sure about Innis. It probably was or will be.
I think they were all on there. It was a
It
12.
could be. I mean, Innis, I down there so infrequently nowadays because my kids really don't use the field a ton. That it could have been done sometime in August, and I would never know.
It was a $12,000 invoice. There was a lot of aerating on it and a lot of field work for all the fields, it seems like. So, yeah, I think he probably took care of. I don't remember Ennis specifically, but I do remember a lot of them were on there.
So.
While Andy's still typing, anybody have anything else they want on the budget? Because I haven't received much at all from anyone.
I haven't been able get a price?
He was supposed to get me information on the tarring, not the tarring, the sealing of the basketball
I
court.
could just get a verbal of 27 grand. I couldn't get anything in writing.
Oh, we could take that money from the boat landing and put it into the basketball.
I could run a couple tournaments.
So,
I could sell some advertising.
And not
for
have
the
them
tournament.
park on the basketball court.
Yeah.
the flip side to that then, we don't have to seal that court next year. If I throw the access committee, the river access on there for 27 grand and the basketball courts, I'm gonna get in a battle.
Oh, they're gonna have a
budget
blast with you, yeah.
I'd like to hold off on putting that one in our current budget, if
Does
that's
it need to be
will
sealed
that be
then
all right?
next year?
Well, it should be fine for another year.
Well, it's gonna have to be painted again, the lines are gonna fade.
Okay. But sealed, does it need to be sealed?
It should.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, run over your river access, but can we take care of what we have? Instead of,
You think it'll fly?
I don't know. I mean, I'm only asking. I'm just putting it out there. We already have the basketball courts. We just had them done this year. If they need to be sealed, we need to take care of it before we build another project. And
Weren't you just talking about fire hydrants and everything else in the budget having a beating, and now you're asking me to throw another
you're in
27
deep trouble.
grand in there?
You were in deep trouble. Don't worry.
Okay.
There's no money out there. Trust me. Don't ask for anything.
All right. Well,
No. But I mean, honestly,
27 grand then. That's easy. I'll tell Troy that as well.
but my opinion of it is that we've got this. We need to take care of it, because if we don't take care of it, then it's going to turn to garbage again.
Correct. Which, when we sealed the tennis courts, I think it was a 6-2 vote in the budget committee that were for it and 2 against it.
Yeah.
After a nasty fight,
Yeah.
and me getting aggravated and so forth, because I didn't understand why you would say no.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
Well,
and
that's just it.
I do not wanna put it as a warrant
No,
article,
will
No.
not go in a warrant article.
No, don't.
because if it does and it gets voted no, then we can't, we
We're stuck.
probably can't even paint it ourselves.
Do they know that this was donated? Can they be made aware that this was donated?
I can make sure.
And
when
then
our
for us to
meetings that-
preserve it and keep it in the quality that they gave it to us in.
I can say all that.
For them not to,
Again, think of all the work we did in Sawmill Brook, and some of the budget committee members were upset that we were gonna seal it.
Is this ceiling? I mean, this ceiling isn't like what I do in my driveway. I mean, I'm
No, it's
kind of
gotta be-
naive
It's
when
gotta
it
be
comes to
textured, cause that gets slippery.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
This seals it, but also makes it
It's a line and seal for 27 grand is what you got right now.
right, well, and it's basically based off of the tennis courts, cause it's about 1.5 times the size of the tennis courts.
Did you talk to that company in Londonderry? There's one in Londonderry. I used to live in Litchfield. I can't think of the man's name. But they specialize in parking lot striping and stuff.
Yeah,
They wouldn't be interested in that, no.
this is a specialty, this is.
Specialty work.
Okay. I don't know.
All right, what else do we need on your,
I mean,
RFP?
so I added for Corning, it said infield grass clippings must be bagged and other clippings removed from infield mix. That way it's clippings from the outfield. Extra care must be taken to avoid damage to field equipment, including signage.
Yeah, we might want to add that to Jeff too, because Jeff will be coming online next year.
Well, it says same as, it's just categorized the same as Corning, so.
Okay, all right, yeah.
You gonna make a motion?
Oh, it doesn't say that,
What's that?
It doesn't say same as Corning?
no.
On this copy I have, it says same as Corning.
No,
I update, the original, when did, I added
so I'll
something.
just put same as Corning.
Oh, no, you're putting it here where, okay.
Fields to be mowed and maintained.
I think it looks good, Andy.
You're right.
This is
So
much
we
shorter.
still doing the
This one says same as
October
Corning.
10th?
I'm,
Oh, that's
you're,
the line-
you're editing
that's
page
the
one,
line.
I'm
Get it out to her.
editing page two, my bad.
I don't have,
Hey, you had that same spot on there. It's the same as Corning right there.
okay. Okay, yeah.
We still doing the dates that you have set here, October 6th to get the bids in, October 10th to have it open?
So if we get this out,
That's 3,
Yeah, so if we can get it out now,
3 weeks?
just send it to Troy and see, and get it out there.
Is that enough time for,
Oh, yeah, that's plenty of
yeah,
time.
okay.
Just the one question I have, and I don't know where it has to be, I don't know if it has to be in here, I don't know if it has to be in, the notice that goes with it, is that, I remember the last time this all came in, and everyone's submitting things that weren't the proper length, or weren't,
So,
everything that wasn't detailed, and everything got opened, and then
right,
it all had to be thrown out because
Right.
nothing was fulfilled, nothing was satisfied, not everything was satisfied that the RFP was asking for.
so can we say at the bottom, if you do not meet the RFP requirements, your bid is disqualified?
You don't have to say anything.
You don't have to say anything?
No, we disqualify the bids based on our opinion of what was submitted. So if they don't meet the requirements of what we've put out there,
We can just,
we can just say, yeah, we're not gonna look at this bid, cause it's
yeah,
pointless.
because as Mike
If-
said,
you know,
everything is subject
as
to
we discussed, we had, at
insurance.
one point, somebody put in the infield churning for the softball fields and somebody else didn't.
Right.
Well, that's two different bids then at that point. We get to decide whether or not,
Okay,
and we can make that determination of picking up the phone and saying, hey, you know, is this included in your bid? Cause if
Okay.
it's not, you might not get this bid.
so, so you, okay.
Well, that was that was the question the last time. I think the last
Threw
time
them all out.
you couldn't do that. You couldn't say once they were open, they had to be taken as is, or they were disqualified. So
And
you
everyone
couldn't
didn't
follow up.
follow it, so they were all
They were
disqualified.
all
I
disqualified.
don't know if
We-
it's something in.
But we decided that as a group to just cut them all out and,
Right.
and get them all to submit second ones.
Well, it says right
Because
here
the difference between all of them together, we couldn't come up with a consensus as a group to say we wanted to accept any of them.
Right.
That's why we sent it back.
Right,
So the line that we added from the last time, that on Troy's suggestion, the town and the recreation commission reserve the right to reject any and all bids and waive any minor or non-material or informalities. So that allows us, if there is something wrong, we can contact them and say, hey, you know, you're not really clear on this. We need it, you know, you didn't break this down, you gave us a lump sum of 10 grand, but we want it.
Okay,
You know, whatever
and
it is.
that's what I was basically trying to get.
We
Was
had the
there
right-
some
we had
word?
the
Is
right
that-
to do that
is that
last
in this
time
one,
too.
Andy, or you wanna
But
cut
Troy
and paste
wanted
and
this
put it in
added
this
too.
That's in this one.
Okay,
That
then.
is in this one?
Yeah, right,
I was only in the.
can see
I was
where I'm
only a
highlighted.
complaining body at the time. I wasn't on the committee.
Oh, there, okay, yep.
I was on the phone, wasn't I in Vermont?
Yeah.
I was in Vermont on the phone, yes, that was a lot of fun.
alright, so how do we get this, what's the best, Kurt, would you mind getting this to Troy, cause you probably see him,
Why am I not, the one I have pulled up isn't being edited,
yeah, you are, I saw
Being
you right
edited by
here.
Andy.
You're right there,
oh, okay.
you're right on comply.
Alright, so that is me, oh yeah, I see it.
There you go.
Well, I just didn't see the editing for the Corning Road fields, that's all.
It was up here,
You have to look at the top portion of it.
Oh,
it was up
See, that's
here.
what I did.
So we
Yeah, I
make a
get it.
motion for this, or we just give it to
trying to
Troy?
make you look stupid.
I don't have to try.
Do we make a motion for every RFP? I mean,
don't
this
think
is
so.
already an existing,
It's an existing
We're doing
RFP,
it.
we just give it to Troy and let it put it out there
Right.
again, okay.
So you want me to get this to Troy?
Yeah, if you could,
Alright.
alright, everybody's good with it?
that's good. We're on time. No, for a bit, for an RFP.
Oh, I thought you meant
Think
for the
we've
meeting.
ever-
I was gonna say, I would say Sandy would debate whether
We're
we're on
early.
time tonight.
No, we're early for the RFP.
Waiting for me.
Cause it's 9:10, she's in bed. Anything else? Who wants to say it?
I'll make it. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Enjoy the evening, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're back to